Hello and welcome again. Everyone, we're back today with part 2 of Understanding Pain, where I do my best to explain the science of physical pain. If this is something that you're interested in, or if you just happen to like the video, don't forget to click that like button and be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications as I do my best to upload at least twice a week. So, let's have a look here. So, I know it says part 2, but from the last video, it's actually from the last video. So, last time we explained how pain is generated, which was via nociception, as you can see right here. If you missed out on that, I'll put a link in the description below, and I definitely strongly suggest that you watch that video before watching this one, as everything will be much easier to understand if you watch that previous video. But just to recap real quick from what we talked about last time. So last time we were talking about nociception, which was also how pain was generated. So nociception is basically the perception of noxious signals or stimuli that once they're past a certain threshold actually leads to a pain response, the pain that we feel. And that then leads to protection of the injured area or part or whatever is going on, right? So now, today, we're talking about nociception again, but as you can see here, today we're actually talking about how different sensations that our body perceives can actually end up leading to nociception. So there's 3 points right here. Let's start with the first one, thermal. When you're thinking thermal, you're thinking temperature. So the receptors in our body that actually pick up temperature changes are known as thermoreceptors. So now I'll give you an example of how changes in temperature can actually lead to nociception. So we're all fairly comfortable with room temperature, right? However, anything that is too far from that room temperature will start to push the boundaries of the thermoreceptors and actually start to activate some of the nociceptors. And that in turn, once the temperature is either too high or too low, starts to activate more and more nociceptors that eventually will activate that threshold and lead to nociception, right? So that's thermal. If we go on to chemical, so basically when you think chemical, you're basically thinking anything that's chemical changes, like stomach acid or carbon dioxide, oxygen levels in your blood, anything like that. Now, the receptors in your body that actually pick up these chemical changes are actually known as chemoreceptors. So for this one, let's use the example of stomach and stomach acid. So normally your stomach produces a fair amount of acid. However, you don't really feel it because it's kept in check by your stomach lining. There's a mucus lining there. In certain cases, in people with heartburn, either that stomach acid is produced too strongly or the mucus lining starts to break down. And then the chemoreceptors in your stomach, they can pick up more and more of these chemical changes. And again, once that limit, that boundary is pushed, nociceptors start to activate. And eventually, they'll go full-blown and you'll start to experience nociception and pain as well. Now here with this last one, pressure, that one's self-explanatory, I don't have to explain much. The receptors that in your body that pick up pressure changes are actually known as the mechanoreceptors, physical pressure. And for this, let's use the example of a massage. So say someone's digging their thumb into your back. They dig with a little bit of pressure. It's not too bad. We're just activating a little bit of those mechanoreceptors. But as they start to push harder and harder and harder, more and more nociceptors will start to be activated because your body then perceives that as unpleasant. It's noxious. It's not something that it likes. It's not something that it's used to. Even though most of the time massages are fairly therapeutic and relaxing, it's just, if you haven't been touched in a while, getting a massage can feel pretty uncomfortable. No. So that's actually all that I wanted to talk about in this video. Basically how different types of sensations and perceptions, once they are pushed to their limit, can still end up leading to nociception. Now, just to recap real quick, so as we see here, we got our thermoreceptors, chemoreceptors, and mechanoreceptors. Once they are pushed to the limit, will lead to the activation of nociceptors, which when the sensation of nociception surpasses a certain threshold, as we see here, then leads to a pain sensation again. Now, I hope you guys learned something in this short video and that this was fairly easy to follow and understand. Definitely stay tuned for that next video where I talk about how nociception is actually relayed to the brain and that in turn can generate a pain response. Now, again, I hope you guys liked the video. Once again, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay alive.